Hello everyone. This is going to be a quick video tutorial about how to gather your secondary sources for your reading list and your bibliography for your final paper. So the reading list will be due next week, next Friday, and initially it will be 10 sources, 2 books, 2 articles, which means newspaper or magazines, periodicals is what they're called, 2 scholarly articles, these are from peer-reviewed scholarly journals, and then 1 additional source, which can be another book, another article, another scholarly article, or an online source or a video source like a documentary. So that's a total of 10. Now, this is just an initial reading list. So for your final, if you have more, great. This is just to show me that you understand the difference between those 3 types of secondary sources. Remember that the primary sources are different things. Primary sources are things like archives, things like interviews, things like photographs that you've taken. So where you're generating the material and you're not taking someone else's interpretation of the material, that would be something like a book or an article. So the first thing for your secondary sources is to make sure to cite them in Chicago style format. You should have been doing this all year, and my students who I had last year, you did it last year for your reading responses. So this is the Chicago Manual of Style, and it's just called Chicago Style because that's just, the name of the institution that produces this every year and the standards that we follow. Now, if you go to the Chicago Style Quick Guide, which I have a link on the Canvas page for, you have everything that you need. So here is the website for the Chicago Manual of Style online. This is the Quick Guide. And really all you need is the book, which is right here. Now you see under each one of them you have a couple of different styles. Really what you need to focus on is this last one that says bibliography. Okay, so you have the name of the author, you have the title of the book, so the titles will always be italicized if it's a book. You have the city where it's published, and then the publisher and the year. So that's the format. Now, if in your writing you use footnotes or endnotes, then you do it a little bit different. Really, the only difference is you put the full name in its order, not last name, comma first, and then you put parentheses around the publication information. There are some differences with commas and periods, but really this is all you need to focus on for the bibliography. The other one you will need is the journal article. So again, we'll go down to journal article and we will look at the bibliography entries. So similar, you have the author, you have the name of the article, which will be in quotations. Then you have the name of the journal. And then you have, if there is some DOI information or where you got it online, then you can include that. But you can look at that for a journal article. And then the last one you'll need is the regular article or periodical from a news or a magazine. So you go to news or magazine, go down to the bottom, and you have your format. Same thing, make sure to put the title of the article with quotes around it, and then the title of the periodical source, in this case the New York Times, Washington Post, and make sure to have that italicized. Now the last one you might need is the website content. So the important thing about the website is that you have the same thing, but you put the URL on it as well. So that is the format for doing your reading list and your bibliography. So make sure you adhere to that, the Chicago Manual of Style. Now let's look at how to use some of the library sources. You should have last semester had a entire class that gives you a tutorial, but I'm just going to quickly show you how to access JSTOR and Google Scholar for your scholarly articles. So you go to the library, the New School Library page. There's a couple ways you can do that. You can type the URL in directly here, library.newschool.edu, or you can go to your My New School, go to your Apps Locker, and then go down to Libraries and click that, and it will take you here. Now, as you know, this is the basic way to look up books. There's lots of ways you can do this. You can Google it, you can go to other places, but definitely know how to use this library here to find these things. Now, I'm not going to talk to you about how to focus your research query. Hopefully you have some ideas from that. But for example, if your theme is identity, don't just type in identity. You need to get a little more focused, or don't just type in race, because that's going to give you so many results it's going to be impossible. So make sure that you narrow your research query. But basically here you have in this gray box access to a lot of things. For your primary source, you will have to access some archives. This is going to be from the New School archives primarily, I believe. I gave you a list of all kinds of other archives you have access to, so please do those. I do ask for an image bibliography. So given our situation with the coronavirus pandemic, I may not be as strict on the image bibliography and citing those sources, but you have a lot of resources other than Google image search to find some very great archival images that might be relevant for your research. Books. Now, for the scholarly articles, you have two ways. One is Google Scholar. So if I click here on the library and go to Google Scholar, then I can type it right in here and it will bring up journal articles, academic articles. I can also go directly to the page, scholar.google.com, or just Google Scholar, and it will take you there. Given that most of you are overseas in China, maybe there's limited access to some of this. I'm not sure how Google works, but you should be able to get through it through the libraries page as well. So that's one way to do it. Now, if I go back to Books and More, this is the main thing that I want to show you is how to access JSTOR. So JSTOR is a very well-known journal database that once you understand how to use it, you have access to a lot of great scholarly material. But basically, you go here to Browse Database on the right, click the Browse Database. Now, hopefully you know how to use this for a lot of other things, because you have all kinds of wonderful databases, newspapers, video, images. So this is a rich resource for whatever that you're doing. So poke around in this. It's a lot of fun. But go to the letter J for JSTOR, which stands for journal. And then right here, you've got access to JSTOR. So at the very bottom, click that and it will take you to JSTOR's website. Now, you have to do it through the library. If you do it directly through it, you won't have access, or you have to log on. If you go through the New School, you have free access. So, for whatever topic that you're doing, you can narrow your search and find some great articles here. So, just thinking of, some of the themes, if you just type gender, that's going to give you way too many sources. So, just book chapters on gender. So that's not going to be too refined. But I know that one of the students is doing something with school uniforms. So if I type in Korean school uniform, maybe it will give me some more interesting results. Now, I still have to look through these. Don't just click the first thing you find, because chances are that won't be there. So maybe I go sexism and school uniforms, because this person is interested in gender and how those. So wow, look, here is an article called Sexism in School Uniforms. So maybe that would be Sexism in the Smart Girl. Maybe that would be a useful source for this person. So JSTOR is that really great source that gives you access to all of those journal articles. Now, do you have to read that article? Usually they have an abstract, a short summary that you should at least read, but you don't necessarily have to read it, but at least know that it's relevant to whatever that you're doing. And those will be the two scholarly sources, two or more, that you're going to use for your project. So hopefully that's useful, and I'm looking forward to seeing how your projects develop.